Hello and welcome to Using Objective-Based Planning. So this is a companion to the YouTube video I did on hydroponic growing in mason jars. So let's follow along and see how this works. So using objective-based planning, the first principle is what are we going to do here? We're going to look at hydroponics, growing in a nutrient solution, and how much this can contribute to food security. So if we just take a simple example, so in our area there's about 40,000 homes. So if we could get 1,000 homes growing 10 pounds of green a year, that's 10,000 pounds of food not imported. So that's a conservative estimate. And why is that a conservative estimate? Well, they estimate that half the food that we buy is wasted. So if we're growing our own right in our own homes, we can use it as we need it. So we're not running out to the grocery store, getting a bunch, and then running back home and finding that we're not using it as we planned, and then it goes rotten or bad, and then we have to throw it in the compost. So again, that's a conservative estimate. So let's look at this a little closer. So we have to ask, can this be done? Well, let's start with the end in mind, as Stephen Covey would say. So just 20 of these over the winter, just 20 of these lettuces over the winter. So all you need is 20 seeds and nutrient solutions. We'll look at it a little closer a little later. A few mason jars and a light source. Not too expensive, easy to come by. And if we start a week apart, 4 lettuces a month, in 5 months we have 20 lettuces. And that's if we just trim the leaves off and use them as we need them, instead of killing the plant all at once, we can have them last a lot longer and do a lot more for us. So let's take a look at a kind of a planning scheme and go through it. And let's look at the steps that we're doing. So these are object-based planning kind of roadmaps, I would call it. And they're broken down to assessment strategy, objectives, strategy map, measurements and targets, strategic initiatives, system rollout, performance analysis, alignment, and evaluation. We won't follow it exactly, but pretty close. So let's look at the assessment. Where do things currently stand? Well, people go to the grocery store, they buy their lettuces. Well, the lettuces come from California or Mexico or somewhere south. And by buying them, you're supporting an outside agricultural system. So, and that's basically the way it is. If you can grow it at home, it's actually much more effective. Does this fit the purposes of the Arrowsmith Agricultural Association? Well, if our biggest purpose is to teach agriculture to people and get people to understand agriculture on all different systems, then we're actually accomplishing the purpose that we set out to do. And there's different systems. There's circulating systems, flood and drain systems, and non-circulating systems. Since non-circulating systems are the easiest, I think we're going to tackle that one. And also, what do we want to grow? Well, mostly leafy green vegetables like lettuces, bok choy, arugula, those kinds of things that we can use in our salads in the wintertime and keep our nutrition value up is what we want to grow. How much do we want to grow? Well, enough to satisfy our needs within the household. And what are our resources? Well, we're going to look at all of those things, and we look at them, and they're quite accomplishable. So non-circulating systems. So why are we taking this one? Well, we don't need pumps. We don't need big equipment and all of that, extra electricity, all that stuff. So it's easy to set up, and most equipment can be found locally, and it's mostly based on mason jar hydroponics. So let's go through this and have a look at how it works. So what do we need? Well, we need a mason jar. And again, you can follow along with the video that we've done on this already, talking about the different procedures and how you go ahead and how you follow through and what you end up with. So we need a mason jar starter plant, and we can learn to grow our starter plant. Pool noodles to support the plant, 3-inch net cup, or you can get drink cups from the local hardware store. Some nutrient solution, well, there's different sources for that, and we'll talk about that later on in the video too. 100-watt equivalent daylight LED bulb. The reason we use that is they're easy to get to, and clamp lights are all over the place. And in the video, I describe a really simple way to build a stand for the light. So let's look at the objectives. So the objectives are to get people to try this on their own. Hey, why not give it a try? It's pretty easy. If we get them to understand how hydroponics work, the best nutrient solution for the lowest cost, where to buy it, and how to make it on your own, those are all things we can follow up with. Lighting. What is the best and most effective use of lighting? Lighting stands and different lighting fixtures that can be used. What to grow? So how much to grow? Where to get starter plants? Well, you can grow your own. The process of growing starter plants and succession planting for continuous harvest. And we talk about that. And different methods of securing and suspending the plants in the growing container. What containers can be used or fabricated easily from day-to-day materials at hand. Don't just have to use mason jars, there's other things you can use. And where is the best place for the project? Indoors, outdoors, standalone, shelving unit, etc. In our case, it's mostly indoors throughout the winter because that's when we can't grow our own leafy greens out in the garden. And the fact is that we got to heat our home anyways, and by using a really inexpensive light source like a 100-watt equivalent LED light bulb and a clamp light, we can have those greens grow like crazy all winter long, and we can harvest from them all winter long. So let's talk about the strategy map. What is that? Strategic objectives. So we want to go through all the steps necessary to grow the edible plants indoors using a mason jar hydroponics setup. And we want to make it in the easiest and most understandable way. It can't be complicated. People will get too confused. So we need to measure what we're doing and what our targets are. What do we want to finish with? So the product with complete edible plant is the goal, as we stated in the beginning, and understand the process. And if we understand it enough, we can actually show others how we did it and pass it on to other people so it expands throughout the community and more people can do it. Again, when you do this, you can also bring on other retailers and other people involved in the community so that they can take part in it and they can sell some of their products and make it a better event for all of the community. Let's talk about strategic initiatives. So what we could do, either online or in person, is set up a workshop, have all the materials necessary at hand for everyone attending. So if it's an online one, what you can do is you can send everybody a list and you can send them where to get what they need to get so that they have it right on hand when you're starting the workshop. And you need to a lot of space to follow along with the process, so people at home need to have a little table that they can follow along with enough room so that they can follow what you're doing. So the completed project will be the attendee taking home a mason jar plant or planting one in there or starting plants or whatever that workshop is in the beginning. And what's really important is we need all the resources to be at hand to continue growing the plant, and they need to be included, or there has to be a place where they can go pick them up readily within the community. And that's why we use all the possible products within the community that are not at distance. So you don't have to order online. You can go to the local hardware store and pick up what you need and just go home and away you go. Now, we also have to provide information on how to review the process and other valuable information. And the reason for that is that once they understand the whole thing, then they don't stop there. They don't stop with just what you've provided. Then they can go out and source their own. Then they can try different plants, and then they can continue on. And so it's a bigger project. But getting them involved, and that's the biggest part, is getting them involved so that they can tackle it and find out that, hey, I can accomplish this myself, and I can even do more. So that's part of the strategic initiatives. So let's talk about the performance analysis. How do we do? So we can monitor the results of the people attending the Mason Jar project over time. They can send us periodic pictures of what their growth is like and how it went over time and what they did. Where did they keep their plants? What source of light? How long did they put the light on for? Did they take a leaf at a time? Did they take the whole plant at a time? Did they grow 4 plants? Did they grow 2 plants? Did they grow 2 a week, 1 a week, 3 a week? What did they do? And allow for questions about how to do it better, and challenge them to solve their own problems and come up with better solutions too. And that way we can ask them how did they do it and what did they do to improve their project to get better results. And when we do that, we can compile all these results for others to see, so that it's not just limited to one person finding an answer. It can be spread amongst everybody, and we can just all gain from it. And that will allow us to answer any questions that arose from the project, because some people run into problems that other people have already solved. And by putting them all together, we're all going to gain from it. And at the end, let's take a survey on how everybody thought they did. And then we can ask for suggestions for improvement, how to pass it on to others. So you're getting the group to work together, the number of people to work together, to share information, which is what we need. And then we can consider others that may be interested in participating. So the schools, like the elementary schools, the kids love this kind of thing. And if we can teach a number of people how to do this, they can go and show off what they've done, and then they can set something up in the schools, as I've done in the past, for the kids to actually participate in it, and then they can grow their salad greens, and they can try their salad greens all throughout the winter, which is the idea of this whole thing, teaching agriculture and getting kids involved so that they can better enjoy it. And then they'll be healthier as a result of eating green leafy plants, not to mention the fact that they'll increase their confidence and they'll be able to try more of these things and maybe get involved in agriculture in the community, either indoor hydroponics or out in the garden, or stimulate some kind of an interest in growing plants for them to eat. If we can do that, then we're accomplishing the goals of the Agricultural Association, the Arrowsmith Agricultural Association, which is our purpose for being. So let's talk about alignment. So did this fit in with the Arrowsmith Agricultural Association purpose? Well, I think that answers itself. If we're teaching people how to grow things, even in their own home throughout the winter, and they can expand it outside. And did everyone achieve their objectives? If we support everybody, then everybody's got to be able to do it, because it's a formula. It's like making a soup or a dish that you eat. As long as you follow the recipe and do it in the way that it's been successful before, you will be successful. And did it invite more participation with the Arrowsmith Agricultural Association? Well, I think, if we get out there and show people how much fun this could be, they probably will be more interested in what other things we can involve them in, and what can they do. And we can build a sense of community with the Arrowsmith Agricultural Association. And that's basically what this is all about. So, the proof of concept. Well, we've already proven it. There's a number of people that have already done this successfully. I've had a number of people that I've given them the challenge of doing it and give them a starter plant and let them go on their own. And their pictures are as good as mine. Unfortunately, I'm not any better than anybody else, no matter what I think. So yes, you can grow lettuces, arugula, bok choy, huge bok choy, Swiss chard. I mean, it's all easy to grow as long as you follow the formula. So the concept, proof of concept, is right there for everybody to see, and it is easy to do, and everybody can do it. It's not restricted to anybody with specific skills. Anybody can do it. As a matter of fact, if you just follow the recipe, it'll happen. So evaluation, going forward. Should we do more? Should we expand into other forms of hydroponics? Well, I think that maybe that's a question that can be answered by the participants. If they found that it worked for them, would they want to take it farther? And what about them being an initiative, taking on and initiating a new form of doing it and looking at different ways of doing it and expanding what they're doing? If they have the space, maybe in their backyard, maybe they can grow other forms of things. They can grow strawberries in the summertime. They can grow tomatoes using other forms of hydroponics. And again, does it fit within the purpose of the Agricultural Association? Yeah, the Arrowsmith Agricultural Association purpose is teaching agriculture. And does it serve community spirit? Well, if we can get a number of people together and then they get to grow their own food and get excited, and we get to show off what they've done to everybody else, yeah, that would be great. Can we partner with other groups and expand our outreach and benefits? Yeah, I'm sure there are a lot of other community groups that would like to jump in on this, not particularly in our specific community, but other communities. And let's challenge them to see if they can get out and even do it better than we can. And could this be an encouragement to participate in the fair? Hey, what about setting up a category at the fair for hydroponics so that people could grow all of their specific greens and vegetables and the way they grew them and their exotic plants hydroponically, bring them out to the fair so they can be judged at the fair in a specific category called hydroponics. And of course, the last thing, what could we do better? Well, there's always something we could do better. There's always a different way of doing it. There's always something more to explore. And again, that's for us to explore. That's for us to enjoy. That's for us to get into and have a great time with. So I hope this was a bit instructive for you. Again, follow along and evaluate this. And again, look at the hydroponics video that is out there and how that worked and how that turned out. And obviously from the pictures of the plants, you can see that it does work, and it's a simple formula, and a lot of people have already done it. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it.